I'll be speaking about my experience with indigenous phakic intraocular lenses. Basically, I started with ICLs way back in 2004 and then was extremely happy with the results that we are getting. And we really thought that's an important part of the armamentarium for refractive surgeons. But then the cost was prohibitive and it kept increasing, and we had to deny the facility to some of the patients simply because it was too expensive for them to afford. So I had a lot of consternation about switching over to this indigenous phakic intraocular lenses. Have been using it for almost 5 years now, and I would like to share with you my experience with these lenses. It's not that I was unhappy with ICL and that's the reason I started with IPCL. It was purely the cost advantage that these lenses offered. So what exactly is the dioptric range? Basically, indigenous lenses are now available from as IPCL from CARE Group. It's available from Biotech as well as from upper lenses also come up with this. My experience has been largely with IPCL, so I will confine myself to that. So the dioptric range is plus 10 to minus 18 with the ICL EVO, while with the IPCL is plus 15 to minus 30. So you get a slightly larger range. As far as astigmatism correction is concerned, it's up to about plus 6 diopters in ICL, while it's in IPCL about 8 diopters. And the material is Collamer with ICL, which is supposed to be the most biocompatible material, UVL biocompatibility wise, that's being implanted in the patient's eye. But here in IPCL and all the other indigenous lenses is the same hydrophilic acrylic material that is being used for our regular intraocular lenses. This was a matter of great concern to me because I thought these patients are going to live with these lenses in their sulcus for a period of about 5 to 6 decades or even more. And is this a good idea to implant these lenses? But in the limited experience we have had in the last 5 or 6 years, I believe, and the manufacturers tell us that it does not really make a difference, but time has to tell. As far as the holes are concerned, now both the lenses come with central holes, and with the IPCL there is also paracentral holes. I think the EVO, initially the ICL did not have, these were just depressions and not holes, but these are, many more holes are there in the optics itself, and 4 over in the para-optic region, and all these areas also have these, the iPads also have these holes. Not that they have any function as far as aqueous direction from posterior to anterior aspect is concerned. This is supposed to allow the IPCL to adjust itself even if the sizing of these lenses is somewhat wrong. But in my experience, the sizing of these lenses also has to be extremely accurate to get optimal outcomes. No PA is necessary with both these lenses because there's a central hole. And there are 4 haptics in this and 6 haptics in this. And the 6 haptics, it's supposed to give a better stability as far as the lenses are concerned. One of the great advantages of the Indian lens is that the IPCL is that all these lenses are custom made for that particular eye, because of which the orientation of these lenses in the 0-180 degrees axis. You just have to inject the lens and leave it there, but most often the ICL EVO, you have to rotate these lenses into place. The size of the holes, 360 microns. ICL came to this point of 360 microns simply because they said smaller than this, then there will be a gush of fluid which is deleterious to the endothelium. Beyond 360 microns, they could have diffractive effects and reduce the quality of vision. IPCL has 380 microns in the center and 400 microns in the para-optic region. And one of the most important aspects that you need to remember is that when you are ICL, it's the leading right edge and the trailing left edge which has these marks, while in the case of an IPCL, it's basically a stud you look at, and this is the leading left edge and the trailing left edge. So it's exactly opposite. So if you're using both these lenses, you have to keep in mind that the orientation of the marks are a little different. And ICL is dispensed in BSS now. Originally it was in saline, now it's in BSS. So whatever the vault you get, the sizing of the lens does not change after the lens has been injected inside. While in the case of our IPCL, it's in saline, but because of the hydrophilic acrylic material, it does not also change much in sizing even after the injection. Loading is quite different in ICL, and we were told when we started out these lenses, if you master correct loading, 50% of the surgery is over. As far as IPCL is concerned, it's similar to any plate haptic IOL, and if you are used to plate haptic hydrophilic acrylics, then you can easily adapt to these lenses. And most importantly, the optic size, the overall is 5 to 6.1 millimeter in ICL. The higher the power, the smaller the optic size, while in IPCL, you get a slightly larger diameter, and you can also get custom-made larger lenses in case you get an extremely large mesopic pupillary size, and customization is possible, and usually these lenses the manufacturers are able to give us in about a couple of weeks' time. And just to show you the video, this is the IPCL that you see over here, and very thin hydrophilic acrylic lens, and you can see the central optic and all those para-optic holes that I was talking about. And basically it's dispensed in a sachet of saline, and then you take it out, and this is the way it's loaded. As I mentioned, once you are comfortable with hydrophilic acrylic intraocular lenses, loading is no different. And this is the way the lens is placed over here, and it's taken out of this sachet, and this is the positioning of the lens. And basically you just have to make sure that the sides are tucked under the flanges of the injector, and it's all saline that's used. It's recommended that you do not use any viscous material, not even HPMC, because these sometimes get caught and mobilization of the lens becomes a little bit of a problem. And subsequently you move forward this lens, and then the side ports are made at 0 and 180 degrees. That is at superiorly, inferiorly. I always am seated temporally, and usually I enlarge the incision to 3 millimeters, both for the ICL and IPCL, because I don't want to do a wound-assisted implantation, but do an implantation with the mouth of the cartridge inside. That gives you much better control. Thus the lens opening up, and this is subsequent positioning of this lens inside the behind the pupillary margin. Is no different than what you would do for the ICL. It's extremely important that you always inject these lenses in front of the pupil and then subsequently position them properly. Just in case the lens is not opening up the right way, it's always a better idea to take these lenses out. This is a toric ICL, and that's the reason you have these markers, and the final positioning of these lenses, as I mentioned, is always in 0, 180 degrees, which makes it a little more convenient for the surgeons to handle. We did a couple of studies and published them, one in clinical ophthalmology and subsequently also in IJO. And basically what I'm going to present to you is the analysis of that case series which was presented in IJO. All these cases had a minimum follow-up of 1 year period. Both groups showed similar profile as far as the age group, the amount of refractive error was concerned. The subsequent analysis was done at 1 week, 1 month, 6 months, and 12 months post-op. It constituted 101 IPCL and 203 ICL, and less than 1 diopter of cylinder underwent spherical lens implantation. Otherwise, it was always toric implantation. 70% of the lenses that we implant are most often toric lenses, both ICL and IPCL, simply because if you leave behind some amount of toricity uncorrected, that leads to quite a bit of dissatisfaction. As far as just to quickly summarize the efficacy of these lenses, that is improvement in post-operative uncorrected distant visual acuity compared to pre-operative best corrected visual acuity, predictability of these lenses as far as accuracy of correction of the refractive error is concerned, and astigmatism correction almost in about 87% of the cases in both the groups we got spot on or less than -1 diopter of -0.5 diopters of residual error. And as far as stability of this positioning of these lenses and the refractive outcome is concerned, over a period of 1 year follow-up, there was statistically no difference between these two lenses. So suffice it to say that these two lenses seem to largely perform equally well. But as regards the development of cataract, it was slightly more in the case of IPCL. 3 eyes in the group that we did compared to just 1 eye in the case of an ICL. But it also is important to emphasize that all these were in patients who were beyond the age of 40 years, who had extremely high refractive errors of -17 or above. And it's well documented whenever you go beyond 40 years or when the refractive error is beyond -15 diopters, there's, apart from low vault, these are the two major predisposing factors as far as cataract is concerned. So in this small group, we did have a statistically greater incidence of cataract in IPCL compared to ICL. And all these cataracts developed after 6 months or so, and none of them showed low vault. I am talking about anterior subcapsular cataract alone. And transient raise in intraocular pressure again was a little more in IPCL compared to ICL, But most of these things could be controlled medically. One eye of IPCL required enlargement of YAG-PI, because at that time when we are using these lenses, when this study was conducted, the central hole was not there, and we had to make a YAG peripheral iodotomy. And one IPCL required exchange because of the smaller overall diameter and the propensity for the lens to rotate within the eye. No cases of retinal detachment, endophthalmitis, or significant endothelial cell damage in either of the groups. 2 eyes of IPCL and 1 eye of ICL required realignment following the procedure. We have been doing these lenses even KC patients, and obviously in these cases it's more difficult to determine the preoperative refractive error that needs to be corrected. And this is just to show you very quickly the alignment that's being done. Whenever you get a suboptimal outcome with these lenses, then go ahead and realign these lenses if they're not exactly in position. It's a 2-minute job. I do not even introduce any viscoelastic. Just go in with the irrigation cannula through the side port, then gently align these lenses. You have the Varion overlay in this case, but obviously it's also possible to do with manual markings. To conclude, implantation of indigenous phakic intraocular lenses is a safe and effective option for correction of high refractive errors. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
You mentioned that the incidence of cataract is more in higher myopia. I mean, that was the initial studies with the V4 lens. They found that if the myopia is more than 15 diopters, and in older patients 40 years and above, the incidence of cataract was higher. Even if the myopia is more than 15 diopters, even if in younger patients also they found that the incidence was higher. But with the V4C, I think that has changed.
I think this was the original paper published by Roberto Zaldivar,
Yeah.
which says beyond
Zaldivar,
minus
yes.
15 and beyond the age of 40 years, apart from low Volta factors.
But now with the
But then-
V4C, that was with the V4. With
I understand, but what I'm saying is this was over a follow-up of almost 5 years. The V4C has been more recently introduced. So
It's been about
we
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. So it remains to be seen whether with the V4, our initial experience, I do agree, we hardly see any cataract. Though I have seen peripheral opacities that are there that are not visually having any impact, so there's no explantation that was necessary. But I think 3 years is too short a
But the
follow-up for us to claim that.
the anterior subcapsular cataract, definitely the incidence is negligible with the
Yeah,
with the center flow.
You also are using V4C now.
V4C.
So what is your experience?
No, very good. I mean, very good. Evo, V4C,
V4C
experience is very good.
And
But
other
I do
incidence
not
of
want
cataract.
to. Sorry?
Incidence of cataract, what Dr.
No,
Sridhar-
I'm saying I've not seen any cataract in these cases. This particular series, we
Was
did
there.
not, yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that the V4C, the EVO has come very recently with the central hole is there for about 3 to 4 years. But I would be concerned when we are putting a phakic intraocular lens in a 20-year-old, I would be more interested in the consequences after 10 to 15 years or 30 years of follow-up. So whether maybe the initial experience is that the V4C is better, but it's still too early to say that anterior subcapsular cataract will not occur in these cases.
That is true.
No, because they are introducing presbyopic phakic IOLs also, and these are all patients over 50, 45, 50, where you're going to implant these lenses. So if the incidence is higher, then you really can't use presbyopic phakic IOLs.
You just do 2 surgeries, put the lens
One
first and then.
Yeah, one question.
Sir, very nice presentation. Yeah, very nice presentation. I am Dr. Hanspal. Sir, I just want to know what is the reason of dispensing the IPCL in the saline. Do you feel clinically, if you put it in dispense through BSS on the saline, what the changes will occur? Then the second question is, what is the hole size in IPCL is little bit bigger than the
I think these are preferences of the manufacturers. As far ICL was also for a long time till the Centraflow came in was being dispensed in saline. That's the reason that these lenses, after putting these lenses in the eye, they used to expand a little bit, and even the judgment of the vault was to be done 3 days subsequent to the surgery rather than the first post-operative day. But now they are putting it in BSS and dispensing it, and there's even the sizing of these lenses doesn't change. The power tabulation has changed, has also been changed. But as far as IPCL is concerned, I think they are using it something like their hydrophilic acrylic lenses, and as of now they are dispensing it in saline. I really don't know why they are not switching over to BSS. I'm not sure whether the material, that is a hydrophilic acrylic, is compatible with being dispensed with BSS.
Because reason being, if you are using the hydrophilic material, and for pretty long time we were using hydrophilic for the normal cataract surgery, and the company never instructed the surgeon to use in the saline. So normally we were using BSES. So I just wanted to know, is there any
No,
difference?
are you sure
only
the hydrophilic
dispensed-
acrylic lenses are dispensed in sachets of BSS, saline only, not in BSS?
No,
That's true,
during
but the thing
surgery, we use a BSS only.
dispensed material you
Dispensing
have-
only, it comes in saline. They
So
might-
what's the difference if you use, if you do instead of saline, if you use BSES? Will it make it any difference?
That is what Dr. Ramamurthy wants to say, conveys, that we are not sure whether it is going to make any difference. For Collamer, it was different, definitely there was a difference.
No, the-
But with this hydrophilic acrylic material,
The
we are
problem
not
is
sure.
the osmolarity is different between normal saline and BSS. So what happens is the lens can expand a little
Expand.
once it is in BSS. So if you have the lens in saline and you implant it, the aqueous is more similar to BSS. The osmolarity is similar to BSS.
That's true, but in
So
the
what
end-
happens is the lens expands. Once the lens expands, then the wall changes. That's the reason why the FDA did not approve the V4 lenses. So they came out with what is known as a V4B, which was not available in India. The V4B was the same V4 in BSS, unlike saline.
That's right.
So you did not have alterations in the size of the lens after implanting it, so you didn't have as much surprises.
Actually,
so then now
I-
the company has completely changed to BSS. But the Indian companies are using saline, so there would be some change. So what you have to do is probably if you do a study where you check the online as soon as you implant it or the immediate post-op OCT vault, and then after 3 days and look at the change in vault, whether there's a significant change, that would be
No,
probably a good
that's
study.
well established. I mean, as when the ICL used
With
to
the
be
ICL, no,
dispensed
I'm talking with the
in saline, normally we were never used to judge low volt or high volt on the first post-operative day because the lenses used to expand. And secondly, also the power of the labeling of the power on these lenses was slightly different. I mean, we are now compared to V4 to V4C, the power, when you implant 23 diopters, what you effectively used to get is about 18 to 19 diopters. And nowadays you get these lenses labeled only up to about 18 diopters. So as far as IPCL is concerned, I am not absolutely sure why they
But
are
have
still
you
dispensing.
checked the immediate post-op and after 3 days? With the
I
IPCL,
don't-
whether there's any
I mean,
difference?
just
Not
casually, I
Okay.
can't claim to have done
Done
a
a study
study
as
or
such.
an anti-segment OCT or anything.
But the difference is the star ICL and the IPCL, the hydrophilic material, though both are hydrophilic, the water content is different. I think the water content with the IPCL is much lower. That's why the lens is much more stiffer than the star ICL. So that depends upon the water content. If you have a low water content lens, it will behave different from a high water content lens.
That's right. And what about, sir, your experience if you use in the IPSAL, the hole size is little bit bigger or
Actually,
the smaller? Will it make any difference? Then second is that if you put the visco material, if it did get blocked, so how you know that it's a patency is there or not? Because it's very difficult to open the block in that 480 microns hole size.
No. Thing is, the ICL is well documented. The central hole size is 360 microns.
That's right.
The para-optic holes are also 360 microns. They say that they arrived at this number of 360 microns because if the hole is smaller, when fluid comes from behind the lens to anteriorly, then it comes more like a fountain and it can be deleterious to the endothelium. Now, if the hole is larger than 360 microns, if you have 400, 450 microns, then there is a chances that it may have, because it's right in the center, it may have optical impacts. So based upon optical bench studies, they have arrived at this fact that 360 microns is the right size for them. As far as the IPCL is concerned, they have a 380 micron hole in the center and 400 micron hole in the para-optic region. They also claim that it does not have any visual impact, and in our experience also we have not found patients specifically having any visual deterioration because of these holes in the center.
But in your study, 3 patients had land up in some complication in the IPSL group.
That's 3 eyes developed cataract.
That's right.
While 1 eye developed cataract in the ICL group.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I think it's more related to the material rather than the hole in the center alone.
Yeah, I think we'll go on to the next speaker,
Next.
Dr.
Thank you very
Mahipal. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shri.